Good morning again. This is part deux. Part deux. La session le deux. It is the second session or part two of this second last final chapter. We had a little bit of malfunction with the buzzers, the buzzing of the mosquitoes. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the Lower Narrow Spit's annual lobster auction. We've got nothing left to sell. No, wait. What's this? Joked the auctioneer, turning to the giant lobster in a mock amazement. The crowd laughed at his antics. Graham did not think he was funny. Do I have an opening bid? The auctioneer asked. Norris's dad confidently held up his paddle and nodded to the cameras. Hey, bada 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 bada, droned the auctioneer. Hey, bada 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 bada. Graham elbowed Richard Zwicker. The big fish biologist put up his paddle too. We have a second bidder, announced the auctioneer with a mix of surprise and delight. Both Norris and his dad spun around to see who would dare outbid them. They did not recognize the stranger sitting beside Graham. Graham beamed. Hey, bida 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 bida, hey, bida bida bida, hey, bida bida bida, called the auctioneer. Norris's dad rammed his paddle in the air. Hey, bida bida bida, hey, bida bida bida. The marine biologist shot up his paddle in retaliation. Hey, bada bada bada, hey, bada bada, hey, bada bada, back and forth, back and forth. The bids getting higher and higher. The back of Norris's dad's neck growing the color of a boiled lobster. Then Norris's dad showed it to the auctioneer. Let's put up Let's put an end to this silliness. I'll give you double what the last bidder gave. The crowd gasped. Graham's dad whispered to Graham, That's the highest bid of the night. I think we just won the prize money for your trip. But his words were cold comfort. Graham was desperate for Norris and his dad not to win. Bid again, Graham urged Richard Zickwicker. I'm sure you can outbid them. The marine biologist hesitated, then signaled to the auctioneer that he was still in the game, but Graham noticed that his paddle was shaking. The crowd leaned forward in their seats. All eyes turned to Norris's dad. Norris's dad sat staring straight ahead. Norris looked up at his dad, then back at the stranger bidding against them, then to his dad once more. Nobody breathed, especially Graham, who felt as if his lungs so excuse me were soon to burst. Hey, bida bida, hey, bida bida, hey, bida bida, hey, bida bida, hey, bida bida. Norris's dad slowly raised his paddle, electrifying the crowd. Everyone shifted in their seats, then turned to the marine biologist. But the big fish biologist did nothing. Instead, he slumped his shoulders and laid his paddle on his lap. It's your turn to bid, Graham whispered, sweat beading on his forehead. Sorry, that was as high as I was allowed to go. This can't be over, Graham pleaded. But when Richard Zwicker would not meet his eyes, Graham understood the awful truth. Graham put his head in his hands. Now hold your horses, the lobster's not sold yet, a new voice shouted from the crowd. It's our turn to join the bidding. Graham dared to look back. It was Ferguson's grandfather, Fog Burner, surrounded by his Sunset Manor cronies, along with Ferguson, who was grinning from ear to ear. The old man clutched a paddle in his big knuckled fists and thrust it into the air. The reporters and camera operators adjusted their equipment to record this thrilling turn of events. Something that survived so long deserves to be set free, announced Fogburner, speaking directly to the camera. That's what McDermott always told us. So we're pooling our money and we're going to bid in his memory. Ferguson added, waved a wad of money in the air as proof. The audience murmured their approval, and Graham wiped his palms on his pants. The auctioneer started bidding again. Hey, bid a bid a bid, hey, bid a bid a bid, hey, bid a bid a bid, hey, bid a bid a hey, bid a bid a hey, bid a bid a. Norris's dad kept his back to the silence and to the audience, and he raised his paddle and nodded desperately at the auctioneer. The audience murmured unhappily. Hey, bit of it, hey, bit of it. Ferguson's grandfather jabbed the air with his paddle. The audience whooped and stomped their feet. Hey, bit of it, hey, bit of it. Norris's dad responded with his paddle, held it up defiantly for all to see. The crowd made grumbly noises. Hey, bit a bit of it, hey, bit a bit of it, said the auctioneer, tugging at his collar. Graham fought the urge to run up to Norris's dad and Jetson his paddle out the window. He must be like throwing it. Jettisons it out the window. Looked over for Fergus's grandfather. The old man was now in a huddle with all his buddies and Ferguson, who looked very grim. Indeed, the huddle cleared. Then Ferguson's grandfather raised his paddle again. Only this time he seems as if he was looking defeated in the eyes, with defeat in his eyes, as if there was the last bid that Sunset Manor could manage. The audience saw that look. Norris's dad saw that look too. He turned to the auctioneer with an arrogant smile and jingled the coins in his pocket with his free hand. Then he raised his paddle one last time with the confidence of the owner who ran the town's only cannery. He, bit bit, said the auctioneer, mustering no enthusiasm whatsoever. Ferguson's grandfather shook his empty fist in the air, muttering a curse, then sat down. Then the other seniors reached over for their chairs to thump his back in sympathy. Ferguson gave him a hug. Sold to the highest bidder, announced the auctioneer flatly. I'm sure this giant lobster will make a fine trophy for the cannery, to be enjoyed by the folks of Lower Narrow Spit for years and years to come. Graham could tell that, like him, the audience was struggling not to lose their manners completely. I won, explained Norris's dad. A smidgen of applause filtered through the room. Norris's dad stood and cleared his throat. He began making his way to the podium to say a few words, having paid a pricely sum for his trophy lobster. And then something unexpected happened. Norris bolted from his chair and scooted past his dad to the podium. He quickly bent the microphone down to his height. Graham sank into his seat. What was Norris up to? What new humiliation was he about to heap on Graham for the entire town to witness? I want everyone to know, announced Norris, rushing his words. That what was my dad. That what my dad. That my dad has decided to set the giant lobster free. Norris's dad froze in mid-stride. He sputtered and his mouth stuck half open. It was clear that he promised nothing of the sort. Graham looked at Norris in disbelief, but Norris signaled Graham with snapping fingers. Go get it. Graham seized the moment. Here, here, he explained to the stunning audience. He jumped to his feet and began to clap. From across the room, Ferguson hesitated briefly at beat behind Graham. When Ferguson stood and clapped, the crowd roared their applause and joined the standing ovation. Norris's dad turned to the audience. His furious look gave way to surprise. Then to a smuttering, flattering smile, Norris stepped away from the microphone to make room for his dad at the podium. His dad grabs Norris's hand, and the two faced the cheering crowd, arms held up in victory. Now, is that ever getting redder over there by that cell phone tower? So that's the end of the second last chapter, chapter 11. Then we're going to move on to chapter 12 here. We're just going to take a little bit of a coffee break. And have a little bit of coffee, and then I'll be right with you. So I will definitely, let's see here, see you later.